everybody, welcome to The World This Week. The world is arguing about Iran. The world is arguing about Greece. 5 American soldiers are dead in a terror attack in Tennessee. And a new bombshell from Donald Trump. These are some of the issues we'll touch upon this Sunday. With me this week are Tal Shalev and Charles Biblizer of I-24 News. Hello. And Dani Ayalon, Ambassador Dani Ayalon, former Deputy Foreign Minister of Israel and an ambassador to Washington. Thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you, Yaakov.
We have a lot on our plate. We have Iran on our plate. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's a bad deal, that's for sure. I think all the arguments that the government of Israel is making are very solid. I would say it starts back 2 or 2.5 years ago, when the whole negotiations went really very partial towards the Iranian position. I believe that a tougher position would have made the Iranians making more concessions because Iran had no alternative. So when you see the world powers, the P5+1, and Iran negotiating on par, you know something is flawed here, and the results are really bad. Now we have to be pragmatic and think the next step.
Okay, let's listen to someone who thinks completely different, the President of the United States.
With this deal, we cut off every single one of Iran's pathways to a nuclear program, a nuclear weapons program. And Iran's nuclear program will be under severe limits for many years. Without a deal, those pathways remain open. There would be no limits to Iran's nuclear program, and Iran could move closer to a nuclear bomb.
Tal, it's the best thing possible, and it's good.
Well, this was just the launching of a very aggressive political campaign that the administration launched actually immediately after the deal was signed. They were very well prepared. And the fact is that they now have quite a difficult, maybe even ugly battle on Capitol Hill. It might not be difficult because the wide assumption in the United States is that it will be almost impossible for Congress to override this deal, but it's going to be ugly. So the president started immediately after the deal to try and explain and praise the deal, and basically we're seeing very expensive, multi-million-dollar campaigns that are backing the president and the Israeli prime minister's statements that are aimed at buying the hearts and souls of Democrat lawmakers.
And the American people, for instance, will they buy it?
Well, he's hoping that public support will sway lawmakers who aren't on side. Basically, in order for it to become veto-proof, they need 13 Democratic senators and 30 Democratic Congress people, which is probably unlikely to happen. But Obama's basic premise all along has been that there's either this deal or the alternative is war. But what he doesn't really answer in any of this capacity is that there's already a lot of war in the Middle East going on right now, and Iran is front and center in all of it. And he's already conceded that this deal will not change Iranian behavior. So in my estimation, there's a big hole right in the center of this deal.
Part of the Israeli claim and the opponents of the deal claims is exactly that the problem with the deal is that it doesn't tie Iran's regional behavior or regional aggression with the nuclear deal. But that was the administration's point to begin with. Basically, we see such a big difference in the way the administration and the Republicans and Israel and some of Israel's allies in the Middle East see the reality here that it's almost impossible to bridge this gap.
Yeah. Well, Dani, this is an Obama classic. Anything but war. But as Charles said, the Middle East is on war.
Well, this is the problem. And the Iranians realized it right from the start, that Obama and his administration want to sign a deal at any cost. This is why they could really toughen their position and really raise the stakes. When the President of the United States says on record that the nuclear program of Iran cannot be dismantled through aggressive or through war, that means there are no other options.
Let's listen to the Iranians.
We have repeatedly said that we don't negotiate with the U.S. on regional or international affairs, not even on bilateral issues. There are some exceptions, like the nuclear program, that we negotiated with the Americans to serve our interests. The nuclear negotiations have not been the only case. There have been others before that I've pointed out in my last public speeches.
Well, these are rhetorics we've been hearing from Iran, from Tehran for ages. Nobody seems to get excited over this.
Well, it's the whole issue of decoupling the nuclear issue from everything else. So you had Ayatollah Khamenei yesterday saying the Iranian nation supports chance of death to America, death to Israel. So you have a fundamental problem. People say that basically Khamenei is pragmatic and he's only attending to the hardliners, but Khamenei himself is a hardliner. Is he pragmatic in the sense that he doesn't want to nuke the United States of America? Yes. But does he have interests in the Middle East? Does he want to reduce American influence in the Middle East?
This is how the whole issue is becoming a huge political issue inside the United States.
The majority of Americans know that Iran is not a place we should do business with. Looking ahead, we need a president who will terminate that bad deal with Iran on day one.
That this agreement went from the initial objective of Iran never having a nuclear weapon to a period of time where Iran will be able to behave with impunity and without restraint. There is no addressing in this agreement that we've seen that addresses Iran's role as a chief sponsor of terror throughout the region.
Billions of dollars in sanctions relief while paving the way for a nuclear Iran. And this isn't about Democrats or Republicans. It's not a partisan issue at all. It's about right versus wrong. And we're going to do everything we can to get to the details. If, in fact, it's as bad a deal as I think it is at this moment, we'll do everything we can to stop it.
Donnie, do they have a chance?
Unfortunately, no. Once Hillary Clinton is firmly standing behind the agreement and behind Obama, a year before elections, I don't think that they have a chance.
Yeah, but what about Chuck Schumer?
Well, Chuck Schumer, I think he is debating now. He didn't say outrightly that he's going to vote against it. I believe at the end of the day, even if he votes against it, he will make sure that there are enough votes on the Democrats not to oppose it, so the deal will pass. Otherwise, the administration will never forgive him. Hillary will not forgive him, and he's in a tough, very tough bind.
Mm-hmm. They openly call for our destruction, and they work for our destruction, which is very different from just a declaration. They surround us with missiles. They try to target us with hundreds of thousands of missiles, thousands of which have already been fired on us, Iranian missiles. So it's not just a declaration. But the interesting thing is here, that while you give them sanctions relief, you're not merely addressing, I think, in a flawed way, their nuclear file. What you're doing is also giving them hundreds of billions of dollars, which they can fuel unrestricted into their war machine, into their terror activities. That is the problem that I think accompanies this agreement.
Charles, you've seen the British Foreign Minister Netanyahu looks isolated in front of Europe and the United States.
I think you are looking at a man who's basically lost a 2 decades long battle. I mean, if you go back to like 96 in his speech to Congress, he warned about a nuclear Iran. The question is, why would you fight a losing battle? And there's really no answer to do so. Even, I mean, there's no domestic political considerations that he has either, I believe. So really, I think you're looking at someone slightly in denial, and someone
maybe it's the other way around. Maybe he's very convinced. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's the one who needs to shout around the neighborhood, this is a bad deal.
Yes, but there shouldn't be any contradiction between continuing to shout against this agreement and not fight it in the political arena and in the backyard of the president, but start already now to work on a compensation package, which the Americans are willing to do. And Netanyahu is saying, well, I want to do it. I want to give. I know I will not win, but I have to give it a try. This is not a sports. This is not a game. This is something which very much concerns in the core national interest and security interest of Israel. So I think he should kind of swallow his pride. I think he owns the issue now too much personally. I think he should swallow the pride and start working on a package.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, a campaign relief.
John McCain goes, oh boy, Trump makes my life difficult. He had 15,000 crazies show up, crazies. He called them all crazy. So he insulted me, and he insulted everybody in that room. And I said, somebody should run against John McCain, who has been, in my opinion, not so hot. And I supported him. I supported him for president. I raised $1 million for him. It's a lot of money. I supported him. He lost. He let us down. But, he lost. So I never liked him as much after that because I don't like losers. He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Another day, Charles, another Trump.
Trump's my man. It seems I'm talking about this guy nonstop. But he may have crossed the line in this one. To basically question the integrity of John McCain, his war hero status.
You don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, he is the Republican establishment. I mean, you're going against a major, just people who will not tolerate this kind of thing. The Republican National Committee already condemned him strongly. This being said, he is out in front of the polls right now, but we were discussing it before. I'm very much looking to see the next round of polls to see if this may have hurt him.
Yeah, let's watch latest poll by Fox News as we speak. He crossed the line.
Yeah, well, he also, but just on a note, on an anecdote, the Huffington Post just moved all coverage of Donald Trump from the politics section to the entertainment section. So that is the way that the Democrats are looking at him, even though we might have to say that the liberal Democratic critic of Trump actually just makes him stronger amongst the home base of the Republican Party.
Well, are you discounting him?
Yes, I think he's. I mean, he's too much, flamboyant and colorful. Not a serious politician. And right now, I think he enjoys the, these buoyant polls because of name recognition. But these polls are meaningless because they are on a national base, not state by state. And secondly, it's too early before the campaign.
We'll have to wait. On this note, thank you very much. What's going to happen in Greece? The crisis is far from over. With us from Athens is Professor Michalis Spourdalakis, Professor of Political Science, who joins us from University of Athens. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now it looks like
from Athens, yes.
Yeah, it looks far from over. What's next for Greece?
Well, we just had a minor reshuffling, a necessary reshuffling of the government. And this upcoming week, some very key, important, and not particularly popular legislation needs to be passed in the parliament.
We see the reactions. Do Greeks feel that they were taken for a ride by the politicians, their own politicians?
Minor. That initial shock feeling and the disappointment of the government is sort of started to wither away, because people realize that a default would have been much worse. We do know the hardships that the Greek society is going to be faced in the next few years. But certainly no one knows, even the people who advocate the default, no one knows what the next day is going to be if we had defaulted.
But is there really any hope for better economy in the foreseeable future? In Greece?
Better economy means that if there is any hope to reconstruct our economy, to put our house in order, and to secure a social net for the people who have been suffering for so long. The Greek government, its first task is to stop the bleeding. We have to stop the bleeding caused by the policies in the last 5 years. And we hope, not in any in a way that it's arbitrary, but we hope that there is some room to stop that bleeding. And then we have to start talking about sort of changing the society and putting in action principles of justice, etc.
So that brings me to the questions: are Greeks willing to change?
Well, there are signs like that. I don't know what exactly do you mean with this, but there are signs that Greeks in the last 4 or 5 years, they became more collective, less materialistic. There are signs like that. I'm not saying that they completely overturn that image. However, they were not expecting, for example, from the government to put the moon on the platter for them. They wanted dignity, they wanted minimum things, and they wanted to gain self-respect that has been destroyed by the previous government.
Professor Spertolakis, I thank you very much in Athens. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And this has been The World This Week. We'll see you here next Sunday. Have a great week.